Ulonka tabati yada tó yẹ kó máa da ifá. Inú tó yẹ kó jẹun lọ́ fi bí pa. Ọbàtálá ọba takuntakun. Ṣàngó Èṣù Ògún Ọya Ọ̀ṣun. Kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣe tán ṣe nílé yìí o? Ó jẹ́ lọ jára rẹ̀.
Alafia, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, OjeYemi. Shout out to the tribe, man. I want to give a huge shout out to all the new members, all the new subscribers, all the new Patreon members, and shout out to the tribe that has some very monumental milestones accomplished and reached this past week, man. So we've definitely been doing a lot of work on and off air, and shout out to everybody who was a part of all the things that we had going on this week. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to tapping back in with the Patreon community over the weekend. And then we got some dope shows lined up for next week as well. So with that, without further ado, I would like to welcome in OjeYemi. Alafia, peace and blessings. How you doing?
I'm thankful and grateful. Share Lafiani, Abu Raboye, Abu Sishi Baba, and to the tribe.
Yes, ma'am.
Greetings and blissfulness.
Yes, ma'am. So before we get started, first and foremost, let me give thanks and gratitude, for you coming and chopping it up with us tonight, because I all the times you've done what you do in the private community, I never knew, I can get you out here in these Ashe streets. So with that, now that I know that, I'm definitely grateful and thankful, to share this wisdom for the whole, entire Ashe tribe, because the ones who have been a part of the Patreon community have definitely been blessed with your words of wisdom. So now we get to bring it, to the whole entire tribe as a whole. So I'm truly grateful and thankful, and extending very much a lot of gratitude for you doing that for us. So with that, you want to open up with the Egungun before we get this party started?
Yes, I do. When you're saying this prayer, you can use a small candle or a regular candle and a glass of water. And as I do the invocation and the call, then that's when you would sprinkle the water. So trust in the circle of life. I salute the enlightened divine feminine forces of nature, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. I call forth the enlightened ancient grandmothers. I call forth the enlightened ancestors who were healers, energy workers, prayer warriors, educators, providers, warriors, those who did what was necessary to maintain the bloodlines, those who knew how to navigate through the life regardless of the circumstances. Thank you for life. Thank you for support, sacrifice, and love. Thank you for all that you've done for your loved ones and bloodlines. Hear us. We need access to your wisdom, your spiritual power to guide us. Please help us to navigate through life, through the day, through the night, through the hour. Break the cycle of inherited sickness, disease, affliction, trauma, curses, mental illness, depression, pain, and shame of family secrets. Please heal our wounds. Please heal our wounds. Please protect our most vulnerable. Please heal and free us from unhealthy addictions and give us the willpower to gain mastery over the triggers to our unhealthy addictions. Please don't leave us at the mercy of life. Ashe, 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 oh, to, to, to.
Ashe, ashe, ashe. Oh, yes, sir. I give thanks. I definitely give thanks. For you sharing that powerful prayer with us. And excuse me. And I love how you mentioned the womb. In the prayer. So with that being today's topic, you've shared with us in the private community a lot of times with a lot of different, powerful, insight from being able to pick up and utilize the gifts of the Ashe, in your Ori, and how you can kind of really tap in by just pouring into us, as a tribe in the community. So when it comes to the significance of the womb, right? Especially in our tradition, where would you say that would be our focus point? Do you feel like it'll be from, the universe's perspective or construct, like the as above, or should we focus more on the planetary, when we're talking about like the waters of the planet? So where would you feel like we should focus, first before we, really go into this womb conversation?
You're not gonna believe this. Only thing I heard was the part about the womb, and Everything else is kind of like jumbled together. I
Ah,
don't know why I'm having such a difficult time with this.
okay. Let me see. Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you very well.
Okay. So I was saying, when it comes to the womb, where
But
would
I'll
you?
flow it and you just kind of I'll flow, I'll flow and you just tell me, kind of try to guide me. And then if I can answer, when we talk about the womb, everything has a womb. Nothing on earth does not have a womb. All life flows through the womb. Mother Earth has a womb. The ocean has a womb. The sky has a womb. The animals have womb. In order to have life, you must have a womb. What is the womb? The womb is everything. The mothers, because of the womb, all sistren are connected through the womb. That is our birth portal. That is where life is carried. That is where the Ashe resides. That is where our ancestral intelligence lives. Without the womb, what would there be? There would be no life. A lot of people feel like the creative force is in the sacral. The creativity lies in the womb. Any sister that has a womb, I call her a wombtress. The mothers are the mothers, and the daughters are the daughters, and we are the daughters of the mothers because of the womb. I'm going to talk about the Yoruba pantheon for the mother only for a brief second. They're called the elders of the night. They're called OjeYemi Shuranga. And because of their power, that power lies in the womb. Any sister that has a womb is a daughter of the mothers. I'm going to say that again. Any sister that has a womb is a daughter of the mothers. That Ashe can be passed down from mother to daughter, grandmother to daughter. There are some brethren that also carries the power of, and it would be called the Osho, but it is transferred from the mother to the son or the grandmother to the son. Any divine feminine Orisha carries the Ashe of the elders of the night. The elders of the night are in every Odu. There's no Odu that they're not in. Even though they were birthed out of Osameji and Oshetura, they are in every Odu. They are the cosmic mother and the earthly mother. Because the womb is so, we talk about, you hear sisters say, oh, I'm powerful. What makes you powerful is your womb. If you have no identity with your womb, if you're not aligned with your womb, then that means you're not aligned with the mothers. All energy, all ancestral intelligence flows from a feminine principle power. And that feminine principle power is our womb. You hear a lot of sisters, a lot of people say, oh, well, I follow my gut. No, not really. You follow the intuition, the womb tuition that your womb gave you. So often we don't acknowledge our wombs. In the birth canal, in the amniotic sac, in that dark, divine, sacred space, is where all wisdom, all knowledge flows. When the child is in the mother's womb, the child carries everything that the mother carries. Everything that her mother carried, everything that her mother carried, everything that her mother carried, it goes back beyond 7 generations. So a lot of people will say, oh, when you're carrying all that Ashe in your womb, If you don't know how to harmonize that ashe, then it appears to be as if you're how should I say, angry, or people like to say that melanated sisters carry a lot of anger. What melanated sisters carry is a lot of ashe in their wombs, because it goes from mother, grandmother, great grandmother, great great grandmother, and not only on the maternal side, but also on the paternal side. So those wombs are carrying all that ashe. And if your mother had trauma in the womb, all that trauma sits in your womb. When you allow yourself to go and sit in your womb, you have the power to transform, transmute, heal, walk on water, cure the sick, um, raise the dead. There was never Jesus the Christ. There was always the divine feminine. There was always the mother's ashe. How can you have the Father and the Son? Where's the mother? She is the beginning of all things. Nothing flows without the mama. Dr. Delbert Blair was the first one that talked about, they call it path to something, where the mother created of herself. How can you have create without a womb? We have what's called the womb chakra, and it sits right there at your belly button, right there at your navel. We were never taught about the womb chakra. We were never taught about how powerful that chakra is and how powerful that umbilical cord is. The deeper you go in your womb, but the deeper you go into self. On the Kemet doors, before you enter any temple in Kemet, it says, know thyself. You cannot know yourself without knowing the womb. That's where healing takes place for sistering, in the womb. The brothers can use his wife's womb, his mother's womb, his sister's womb, or his grandmother's womb to bring forth fruit. Your womb is so powerful that you can take that umbilical cord and bring forth a healing in your bloodline. You can take that same umbilical cord and connect to your mother's mother, on the matriarch and the patriarch side, if you know how to use that umbilical cord. I tell sistering that when you have a baby, do not allow them to cut that cord. Wait. And if possible, stay connected as long as you can. Our womb is our power source. Our womb is our center. You could have a wombversation, which is a conversation with your womb, and she will respond. She'll guide you, she'll lead you, she'll direct you, and she'll tell you what you need to know. When a sister is carrying a child, if she chant and she prays to that child, she can bring forth a spiritual giant.
Sure.
In Kemet, they had birthing chambers. And in the birthing chamber, the birthers, we call midwives and doulas now, sole responsibility was to bring forth spiritual giants. Only thing, they catered to the mother in the birthing chamber. When we as sistering don't acknowledge our wombs, we're not in harmony. We're not in harmony with ourselves. We're not in harmony with our sistering. We're not in harmony with our mothers. And we're not in harmony with the cosmic mother and the earthly mother. In the Yoruba pantheon, the eldest, you have the spiritual cosmic mama and you have the earth mother. And they eat two different foods. To have a healthy womb, you have to have a healthy mind. And is not the ori the head? the stomach, the navel, and the feet. I call the womb the unconscious collective
Mm.
because it guides you. It tells you what you need to know if you will listen. So often when we allow our children growing up, we come and tell the parents what we saw, who we saw, what we felt, what we heard. And we automatically say, no, you didn't see that. You didn't hear that. Don't say that. Guess what? That begins a distrust with the womb.
Mm.
And when we don't listen to her, she shuts down.
Mm. Yeah, that's powerful. So let me ask you this: when it comes to, because I love how you incorporated how men can also be able to utilize the womb of whether it's their spouse, their mothers, their grandmothers, etc. What is a way that a man can tap into this womb energy, like this ashe, this power, this healing ability? Like what are some of the ways, like let's just say that a man who tapped into the womb of his mother or his grandmother, like how would they go about doing such a act or ability?
Through your umbilical cord.
Mm.
You would actually imagine you would see your umbilical cord at your navel, and you
Hmm.
would send that umbilical cord out to your mother or your grandmother.
Mm.
And you would send that energy through that cord.
Mm.
You can heal the trauma in your bloodline through that cord.
Mm.
You can send forgiveness, you can send love, you can do whatever you want to do through that cord. You can cut ties through that cord. That cord is powerful. Just because a cord has been severed doesn't mean that the ashe is still there. You
Mm.
have to know how to use that ashe.
Mm.
And you would say, I call on the ashe of my, I'm asking you, grandmother, I need to use you. I need you to assist me.
Hmm.
Isn't she not an ancestor?
Hmm.
Is she not powerful?
Yes, ma'am. Wow, that's deep. And I was wondering about that because I've heard a lot of different conversations or just learning from people like yourself on the channel, but I've also learned that those who, especially like men who have reached the path of, especially in this tradition of Isheshe, where they have reached some of the initiation rites where you receive shrines, you receive pots, and that is considered to be your sacred spiritual womb, right? So especially like with the Ifa
Mm-hmm.
priests and the Babalawos who receive Ifa as well as the Odu. So it's like the Odu
Mm-hmm.
being the feminine aspect that is considered to be, I would imagine, like the womb for the male Babalawo or Ifa priest. So for those who are still on their journey, maybe just beginning their journey, or who might not have any um interest in Ifa Isheshe or in this particular tradition, can they still use the same concept by just like meditating and like imagining, and envisioning,
Yes.
invoking that ashe of the womb from there?
Yes.
That's what's up.
Yes.
Ashe.
Because we all have mothers,
Mm.
and we all are either a daughter of the mothers or a son of the mother.
Ashe.
And the relationship with the mother begins in the womb. I need to speak on that. So often I hear sister and um say, I'm a daddy's girl. Mm, amazing. Something carried you for 9 months, 10 months, and there's no connection here.
Mm.
You chose that birth parent. You chose to come through this bloodline. And in that, there had to be something there. But now we also forget about the karma of the bloodline and of choosing that mother and of choosing that father.
Mm.
So when you choose your birth parents, you choose whatever karma, whatever the drama, all of that. But also in the bloodline, there's gifts. So not alone comes with the karma and the trauma, but it comes the gifts. So you chose this bloodline, you chose this mother for whatever reason. And I tell people, we don't just meet in this incarnation.
That part.
We just didn't come in this incarnation. So I see a lot of people go back and they get their Akasha records read, but did you ask what was your karma? Did you ask what did you come to transcend and alchemize and burn up in this incarnation?
Mm.
And if you don't have a great relationship with your mother, you can't have a great relationship with the mothers. What is there a part of the Egungun prayer? It says, and it's even in their Bible. If you don't honor the mother and the father, that's an important piece right there. And in my practice, I always have sisters go back, call your mother on the phone.
Mm.
Tell her thank you for birthing me, because she didn't have to birth you, even
Mm.
though you chose her.
Mm.
That's grace right there.
I say.
And whatever, ask for forgiveness. Whatever you did and whatever she did, ask for forgiveness. Tell her you love her. And you can set boundaries. I have a sister friend and she knows, she was given up for adoption, but she sets boundaries and she still takes care of that earthly mother. That's important.
I say. That's powerful. And it's amazing because I love the way spirit works, man. Like I love the way spirit works because there's been a lot of I've seen a lot of divine alignment, including in nature. Shout out to Millie from Alive World's Wellness Sanctuary. She has a course that she's putting on that I was blessed to attend a class tonight, and she shared a lot about intuitiveness and just like being able to pay attention to our environments and pay attention to our surroundings and then to pay attention to nature, whether it's colors or the sense of smells and the visions of people who have the ability to see, like when you're looking at somebody, you can see some people can see an aura or a glow or some sort of light
Hmm.
reflecting off of other people, things of that nature. But it's like nature's been doing that, like it's been turned up for me like for the last 3 or 4 months. But this past week it's been unbelievably like amazing. Just aspects of like I would say like crossing paths with nature or crossing paths with spirit. And so to hear everything that you just said, and especially in light of the mothers, I was leaving last night. Actually, I went to go drop something off, and I remember seeing two beautiful little small black cats walking down the side of the road. And they've been crossing paths with me a lot lately. Ever since it seems like Ibati knew the Queen of Sada. It's like they've been like ever present, almost to the point where it's like almost every day I'm seeing them. But I saw two, and then I drive about not even literally 3 to 5 seconds further, I see a third one. I see three of them. I'm like, yo, this is amazing. And so it's just like they're y'all. The presence of the mothers is like very, very profound in my own personal little space,
Yes.
in the universe. And so what would that mean in regards, like when we see different aspects of nature, like the birds or black cats,
Okay.
or how does
Well,
that kind of correlate to
okay.
the
Well, we
presence of
know that in one of the praise names, and in the praise names, the mother, the elders of the night are shape shifters. They are the black cat. They are the vulture. They are the doves, the white and the black. They are the last one to leave the marketplace.
Mm,
So they are shapeshifters. And in that, when you see that, you're seeing the mothers. But also you're seeing the bass who sits with Kemet.
mm,
Did it, the Yoruba pantheon has mothers, but also we looking at Aset,
mm-hmm.
Neverhet, the Nephers,
I saw
Asekmet,
yeah, yeah,
Mayat.
yeah.
They also have the block. They are the melanated mothers from the Kemet pantheon.
Mm-hmm.
Then you
Oh, yeah.
have Mammy Wata. You have the Sebels.
Nana Baruku.
Yeah, Nana Coat,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oshun,
Emo,
Oya,
Emoja.
Yemaja, Odu,
Mm-hmm.
Oduduwa.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gotcha.
any sisterin that carries a womb is a daughter of the mothers. More prevalent in sisterin than there are in the brethren, but there are some brethren too. I want to touch on three. mm, I need to say this and say this where it's. I just have to be careful when I word sound about the Yoruba part of this.
It's all yours. You got it.
Okay. There are three called the birds of prey. These three are OjeDudu, OjePupa, and OjeFunfun. OjeDudu is powerful. She can mess up your life, but she can't destroy your life. She can make things difficult. Then you'll have OjePupa, which is the ministrating mother. She can destroy, she can kill, and she is unforgiving. Then you have OjeFunfun, which is to bring bliss, harmony, joy. She brings bountifulness and bliss in your life. Very few people are initiated or can be OjeFunfun. She's not as open to allow people in as OjePupa and OjeDudu. And I'm just going to leave that right there. There's a book called Iwana Emil Shiranga. It's a pink book. I can't say her name, but her name is Chief Ianifa Iyalode. She wrote a book. And that book will give you the praise names. It will give you information about the womb. She, for so long, the elders of the night was a secret. You wasn't spoken out loud. If you come to them in reverence, if you come to them with respect, they are the fighters for sistering. They bring justice, like my aunt. But anybody who offends them, knowingly, unknowingly, intentionally, or unintentionally, your life will not be so sweet. I bow only to the mothers. I bow only to the divine feminine. But also in the divine feminine sits the divine masculine. In the divine masculine sits the divine feminine. The mothers are so powerful, they can mess up your marriage, your health, your wealth, all of that.
Yeah, can take away your very existence. I mean, immediately, expeditiously too.
They are to be appeased as often as you possibly can. Well, we automatically know anytime you're doing a offering, an appeasement, that they always get their portion.
Mm.
Let's talk about the blood piece, the ministration piece.
Mm.
When a wombtress is on her cycle, she cannot touch shrines, she cannot touch icons, she cannot touch akoshe because it can be null and void. Also, I'm going to talk from the indigenous Native American piece of that. They do what's called the sweat lodge. If a wombtress is on her cycle, she cannot enter the sweat. That's how powerful blood is. The blood is the highest concentration. So when I don't know, most Babas won't tell you this, or most Iyanifas won't tell you this, but before you go to the extent to shed the blood, you should try to take care of, do as much work as you possibly can without going there, because that's the highest concentration.
I love that you there's two places you went that I love that you went to. I want to share a couple of, kind of like to go further into if you can, if you don't
Mm-hmm.
mind, and then I'm gonna jump back off. But when you said that feminine, oh my God, I was like, yo, because that's something that came up on the last couple of calls where this is a 9-year, right? So with
Mm-hmm.
this being a 9-year, the divine 9 year, and then you said that feminine. I'm like, ooh, I like, I like that, boy, feminine. So now you're talking about the divine 9, with this being a 9-year, which means this is a
Mm-hmm.
symbol of, shout out, Ye Oya, the transformation, death of the old, birth of the
Mm-hmm.
new, and then now you're saying that blood is the most highest form of let's just not even go into that word yet, but the highest
Right.
form of, saying work, right?
Concentration,
So
yes.
so when it comes to I will say that word with this: the sacrifice of self. How powerful is that? Because I know that there's a lot of people who get themselves into, you know, whatever the case may be, and they run and get a consultation, they get then they get eliminated, and they want to do quick to run airballs, and people who, you know, got like airball this, airball that, but what you just shared to me is, I feel like the airball that you do with whatever that ritual is not going to be nowhere near as significant as the internal airball of knowing thyself. Right?
Yes. Right.
How does
And
that, like, why do you feel like that's lost in translation, or people think that it's just a quick fix to go and do whatever they do with whatever ritual instead of doing the sacrifice of self?
because it's like the savior complex, right?
Mm.
What responsibility do I have to this? What do I have to do? I can go and get a divination. I can get an elbow done, and I'm all good. What? I don't have to do nothing. I don't have to go in and see my ugly. I don't have to go in and see where maybe I said something wrong. Maybe I had a wrong thought. And I'm gonna say this: the mothers are so powerful that they know your every thought, your every word, your every action, and your every deed, even before you do. So if I say that, well, you know what, I'm gossiping about Orisha Bimbi. I'm saying all kind of things, and I'm sending negative energy to Orisha Bimbi, or I'm doing things to hurt other sister, and I'm doing things to hurt people, and I'm not living in Iwa Riri, good character. Then guess what? I'm responsible for whatever befalls me. If I don't take the time and say, you know what, I'm not gonna gossip, I'm not gonna talk about anybody, I'm not gonna send any ill will into anybody, and I don't have enemies. This is just my karma. I need to look at it. I created this because I am a creator. Anything, my words, my actions, my thoughts, my deeds, and my reactions determine what goes on into my life, my world, and my affairs. So let me check myself to see, how did I create this first? And then once I go in and I see how I created this, and if I can't find it, then I'll go for a divination. But it's me first. I need to look at me. Nobody is my enemy. I'm my own enemy. Can't nobody do anything to me unless I allow them to do it to me. I'm the one that's hurting me, but I also need to see what's in my bloodline. What is the, should I say, the generational curse in my bloodline that I need to break? Well, if there was alcoholism in my bloodline, maybe that's a tendency that other people in my bloodline have. My bloodline was sexual trauma, sexual abuse. Well, not anymore. I made sure that I watched that from my children, my sister children. No, no, no. It stops right with us, with my sister. So we are responsible for being a sacrifice. Every Wednesday, a couple of my sister and I, we get together and we pray to the ancestors and we pray to the elders of the night. And one of the things in this prayer is, if we have done anything to offend or hurt or harm a womb, a prostate, that we be forgiven. I even go so far as, I have 11 brothers. So in that, I'm quite sure they've hurt wombs, they've mistreated people. I have to clean that up. I am the sacrificial lamb. I'm willing to invest my time, my energy, my space to make sure that I pray, I meditate, and I see and I watch what I say, what I do, how I do it. And if I've offended another sister, come and tell me. And I'll apologize. Now, if you don't accept my apology, well, I'm going to shake the dust off my feet.
Ashe. Ashe. Oh, I love it. I love that. Oof, oof. Okay. So let me ask you this, because this is a question that I don't know if I asked anybody this question yet. I don't know if I ever asked anybody, but what does Ashe, what is your definition of Ashe? Because we could easily do a Google search, we can go
Mm-hmm.
online, we could chat GBT, all that. But to me, that's not, you're not going to get the answer that I know that you're going to give from any of those platforms or any of those, you know, websites or whatever, because that doesn't carry the ancestral intelligence,
Right.
the real AI. So when it comes to when we're talking about this thing called Ashe, because you mentioned Ashe many times, especially when we're talking about the womb and the umbilical cord and the connection to the mothers and all that. So what is the definition of Ashe from your personal perspective and your
The
experience?
essence of who you are.
Mm, mm,
Your essence is your Ashe. Your essence can, you're the architect of your life. So your essence is who you act, is your existence. So if your experiences makes your essence, your experiences actually make your Ashe powerful, or it can make your Ashe unpowerful. Your words, your thoughts, your actions, your deeds, and your reactions is all included in your Ashe. Your Ashe is your character.
mm.
There's a prayer that is a part of a prayer that I pray. And it says, if your essence does not match, if your personality does not match your essence, the prayer is dull and non void.
That's deep because that brings me right back to where I was going earlier about how significant the sacrifice of self is. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice of self, of course, I'm not talking about sacrificing yourself. I'm talking about sacrificing the liabilities, the liability aspects, the negative, you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? The things that the areas of improvement, the places where we got to work on, for thyself. Like that to
Mm-hmm.
me is the sacrifice of self. So you mentioned a lot of different things in regards to how the connections to the mothers, the connections to the umbilical cord, the connections to the womb, the connections to healing, and how all these things are like tied into sacrifice, but unnecessarily doesn't mean taking a life. I feel like it means taking away something that is of a negative or is doing us no service, which is a liability, and then replenishing, and replacing that with something that is of value or something that is constructive versus destructive, and then that is an asset. So
Yes.
how can we do that in this day and time where, let's just say, because a lot of people are dealing with a lot of things, and you and I both know that, being people who serve the community and serve, the people, what can we do right now to like be able to figure out a way to where we can tap into this healing of the womb, or tap into the nurturing of the mothers, or tap into even figuring out how to access that higher level or that higher aspect of self? Like, does it start with the Ori, or does it start with maybe going to the ancestors or the mothers? Like, where would we go on Friday, October 24th at 10:33 p.m.? Somebody who is struggling with a lot of things not going the way they want it to go right now in life, what they want to make a change and a shift. Like, where will we start with, using some of the information we learned tonight to kind of activate that
Okay.
transformation?
I'm going to talk about Heteru and her daughters in the Temple of
Hey,
Dandra.
hey.
He had 7 daughters. Those 7 daughters stand for your 7 basic chakras. In Kemet, we would call it the Arit, or the Arit 2. Arit for one, and the Arit 2 for two, for more than one. We're going to start with the base, which sits at your pelvic floor or the base of your spine. What's in there? Trust, safety, security, stability, and financial responsibility. That's where we start. If you say, you hear a lot of people say, I don't trust, I don't trust sisters, I don't trust, well, that means you don't trust yourself. Trust starts with self. I hear the voice of my mother. Charity begins at home and spreads abroad. And I never understood that. It took me 50 some years to understand that I was charity, and everything started with me. So when you trust yourself, you're going to trust everything around you. When you're safe, you're going to find safe. There's no space that's not going to be safe for you. When you're secure, there's nothing that you're only going to see security. So that's where it starts, right there. How do I see myself? What do I think about myself? How do I view myself? Those starts right there. And then not only that, you go back to your mother's womb. They call it rebirth. I call it raw birth, where there's the same umbilical cord. You take that umbilical cord and you go back and you draw yourself back up into the vagina of your mother and go back into that womb and connect with her, and everything she felt, you feel.
Ashe.
That's the process. They call it shadow work. I'm not into buzzwords. I find people are into buzzwords. Now the new thing is all shadow work. No, it's just looking at oneself to find oneself. We are the architects of our existence.
Ashe.
We forget about the thoughts, the words, the actions, the deeds, and the reactions. We forget about all the things we say. I hear so many sisters saying, "Oh, well, when I deal with sisters, how you doing? Oh, I'm just hanging." Can you imagine that? Can you see you just hanging? Seriously, I mean, what you say creates. Thou shalt decree a thing, and what it shall be established unto you. That
Yeah.
part of a part of the power of the mothers is the words that we say. There, you can say something and it can go out, and you could tear somebody up, you could tear them down. So I always express to mother, be very careful when you're talking to your children or when you're talking to someone else. You have to be careful what you say because
Especially
it's
somebody
easy to offend. Yes,
especially somebody you care about.
yes,
And it's hard because
and
even
mhm.
myself, I know those are the people who sometimes can push you to that limit or push you over that line because you care so much. You know what I mean? Whereas
Mhm.
for me personally, like people outside of that circle or bubble, it don't really matter like that because it's like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? But for those, so it's powerful. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't there I think it's a phrase or a word in Europe, but it's like I think it's like elemi or elimi or alani or something like that, where it's like when you speak and utilize your ofo ashe to speak negative or dark, like you kind of self-hex, like you kind of creating like
Yes.
almost like your words become almost like a self-hexing
Mhm.
demon, right? I forgot the
Mhm.
exact term of it, but yeah, that's
Yes.
good.
So whenever you speak and I call it word sound. I do it. Thank for the Moors because they taught me about etymology of the words.
Mm,
You actually, when you word sound, you're casting a spell.
yes.
This English
Hmm.
language is so botched.
Hmm.
They know exactly the magic that when they give you these words,
Hmm.
believe, be lie.
Hmm.
So when you say you believe something, you be lying it. When you say bless, you saying be less. So there are spells, and you have to make sure that the words that you're using, is building. The thoughts, the mothers are so powerful that they can intervene on your thoughts,
Mm,
and whatever you think, you bring about.
mm, mm.
So just like you said, hard. What's hard? In the indigenous culture, it's called the red road. And if I could sing, I would sing you the song, but I can't sing, so I'm not gonna try. They're called the red road. Now they say, but I'll send you the song. His name is David Swallow, so
Mhm,
whatever. And he talks about the red road and walking. They call it the red road. He says, now you can walk the red road two ways. You can walk it wide, or you can walk it narrow.
mm.
That's how you choose to walk the red road. And I tell Sister all the time. I hear Sister, I don't use foul language because I can't afford to use foul language because I'm my own creator.
That part. Oof. I
I'm my
like
own
that.
creator. So if I'm using words that are not uplifting, then I'm creating. And then I'm first thing I'm gonna say is, why is this going on? Well, what did you say? What did you think? What did you feel? What did you do? How did you react? And now we're gonna bring in the senses. Because that's what makes us sensual, our senses. Taste, touch, smell, sight, hearing, feeling. And when you incorporate that with words, thoughts, actions, and deeds and reactions, your creations bear forth fruit.
Oof. So yeah, look, I can go all over the place, boy, but
You got me going now.
that's what I wanted to do too. Look, I'm ready. Look, that's my goal. Every time I get out here, I'm ready to turn it all the way up, boy. I want so 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 now you said words bear fruit, right? And I love
Mm-hmm.
that, because now that's going to bring me to where we're going to really tap in and go through these core 4 elements that we talked about. So when you say words bear fruit, now we just talked about the other side of polarities when we talked about how if we speak negatively, that's
Mm-hmm.
destructive, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we're not talking about that now. We're talking about constructive. We're talking about
Yes.
building. We're talking
Yes.
about bearing fruit.
Yes.
When it comes to bearing fruit, and for those, who are new to the channel, or those who are new to the tradition, those who are new to this thing we call Isheshe or Ifa or Risha, African spirituality, whatever you want to call it, how significant is this thing that we call the Ori, the mind's eye, first eye, third eye, whatever you want to call it? How significant is the Ori when it comes to bearing fruit with the words or the thoughts or all the things that are inside of us that are connected like the umbilical cord to
Mm-hmm.
the Ori? How significant is that in working with that in order for us to bear fruit?
Well, when we were up in a room, which is called heaven, and Ellie Damati and the mothers said, "Okay, Orisha Bembe, it's your time now. It's your time to get a soul, Kemet ba, real
The Kai
spirit,
and the Ba.
right? Kind of ba.
Shout out to
Okay,
Professor
Orisha
Kaba. He'll
Bembe,
be here next week.
it's your turn. It's your turn now to you get ready to get a ba. You already got the ba, but now you getting ready to get a car. So all right, however you decide, we're gonna pay this movie screen for you. And while you sitting there eating your popcorn, oh, I want that experience, I want this experience, I want that experience, I want this experience, I want this experience. And they're just like looking at you. Are you sure? Yes, I want this birth mother and I want that birth mother and this is my purpose and my destiny. These are the things I'm gonna come down here and do. Okay. All right. Or we should be. Now we're gonna send you down and you're gonna have a car, a spirit. You already got the soul because your soul carries every experience, all the wisdom, everything. Each lifetime lives in that soul, the Ba. You come down through the birth canal. If you are not birthed in a birthing chamber or a midwife or a doula, you are birthed in a hospital, mm, and you come down that birth canal, and no prayers are being prayed when that blood busts and that water come out. There's no prayers being prayed to soften your karma. When your eyes hit, when you come down and you hit that light, all the things that you said that you were going to remember, all of that is lost. And then they spank you. That's your first introduction to pain. All right. So now I'm zero and I'm programmable. I have all the things that my mother, that I went, whatever my mother experienced, I'm going to experience.
Mm.
So she's feeding me. The breasts are very important because they are the nurturers. So I'm being nurtured every day. I'm being breastfed if she chooses to feed me. If not, I might have to go on this Similac, which is going to deplete me and take everything that I, you know, experienced. Okay. I didn't stay connected to her umbilical cord. Didn't have skin to skin contact. Okay. So now, whatever I'm being told, I remember some things because I came down here with an egg bay. I came down with my heavenly mate. My heavenly mate comes down with me. And I promised my heavenly mate some things. But when my heavenly mate goes back up, I'm being programmed. I'm being, I'm new. I'm still in the spirit realm because I'm still in that realm. And I began to grow. And I began to be fed doctrine. I'm watching TV. I'm seeing the phone, and I got a computer. So once again, my imagination is gone because that's where my Ori sits. In my imagination, I can't imagine anything because guess what? It was stolen from me. And my womb tuition, the trust, because a child trusts everything. All of that has been taken from me because of how I was raised or the things that I was given. So now I no longer know what I come to do. I can't remember. I have to go back and find out what I come to do. What's my passion? What am I passionate about? What makes me get fired up? Without imagination, you can't see it. You can't be it. My Ori is my head. It's my mind. Up in here, you gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, if you ain't got a mind, you ain't got nothing.
You about to GMX.
So your mind is in your womb. Not only is your mind upstairs, but your Ori is your mind. It sees, it hears, it knows, because you can see, you can hear with your first eye. You can feel with your first eye. It carries all the senses because your first eye is connected to your sacral. Like your crown is connected to your root. So if you don't go to that womb, if you don't check into the ancestral intelligence, if you don't check into that umbilical cord, if you don't listen to the unconscious collective, if you never talk, because we will never talk that, because they know how powerful that is. Why do you think they always trying to take a sister in the womb? Because they know that's her source. That's her way to creation. That without the mama and the womb, what is there? So anyway, all right. So you not taking care of the womb, you have no sense of clue who you are unless you get a divination, and it kind of guides you because you gotta have, unless you sit still, you close your eyes, and you say, Mama, help me. Show me what I need to see. Help me. And a lot of us have to go to the point of drama, to the point of nothingness, to find out exactly just that. But if you have children and you see we never get astrology charts done. We never get a numerology chart done. We never get a divination done for who the child is. In the village, in the tribe, well, everybody knows who that child is. That child was created, but it's the village watches and knows who that child is. So when that child comes, work is already done for that child. So we need the mind, as Dr. Jewel Pookrum says, as Dr. Deborah Blair says, as Dr. Malachi York says. If we ain't got the mind, what do you have?
Yeah, that's real. I wanted to ask this question, but I want to interrupt because I wanted to wait because you was cooking. I don't know. Shout out to Chloe Dior. You was cooking. So, you said something that was, well, you said a lot that was very powerful. But when you spoke about the wanting to take away the wombs, what is the fascination, or what is the the inspiration of this Western medical, so-called medical, cultural, systemic society with wanting to always do hysterectomies on the womb man, especially the original womb man, the melanated womb man? Like, what is the purpose of them being so fixated on wanting to always, that's the first thing they want to go to when it comes to any kind of issues that a female is having, from the abdomen down, where all of the creation takes place? What is the purpose and the reason for them wanting to do that?
Well, you just said creation. If you don't have a womb, how can you bring forth life? If we can control everything, we don't want you to reproduce. We want to stop life because we're not reproducing. So why would we want you to reproduce? Why would we want you to really step into your power to reproduce, to have more melanated beings that, guess what? If those melanated beings wake up, we no longer have power. So if we take away the source of what makes them carry life, we got it made in the shade. We ain't got to do nothing. If we keep them fighting it with each other, fighting the mama, fighting the daddy, fighting each other, oh, we got it made in the shade. We keep them distracted. Because we were never told how powerful our womb is. Our womb is just more for when I say creation, creation means bringing forth not only life, bringing forth ideas, bringing forth dreams, bringing forth passions, bringing forth purpose, bringing forth destiny. That's what the womb does. And the unconscious womb connects to the heart. Then the heart connect and the unconscious womb connects to the heart and to the mind. That brings forth all things. Because you pouring that love on it. Then once you pour that love on it, then that imagination takes over. Not only does the love, but the heart feels. The heart deals with the emotions. The mind deals with the reasoning and the thinking. The marriage was never the divine feminine and the divine masculine. The marriage was always the womb, the heart, and the mind. That's the marriage, androgynous.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait, primordial mother's womb, mother loving minute. We can you say that respectfully, please? Like maybe at least 2 times. Can you say that 2 more times? Because I know some people that might have missed that, didn't catch that, or they got to hear it a couple times for it to resonate. But that was powerful. I'm gonna step back. Please, can we get that a couple?
Yes. The true marriage has always been the womb, the heart, and the mind. It was never the divine feminine and the divine masculine needing something outside. Never that. It was always the womb, the heart, and the mind. So when I say the womb, that's your creation, that's your creativity, that's your source, that's your power. And then you connect that with heart, which is the love, the feeling, and the emotion. And then you bring that up to your thought, into your idea, into your imagination where you see. That's the true marriage. That's the androgynous beings that we are. So when we are sistering, say we need a man, go back. You want a man. You don't need anything because the mothers are always saying yes. The mothers want her daughter to have every good thing that there is. Only thing you got to do is say, move out the way and let the mamas do what the mamas do.
Shout out to Ludacris. Move, Trick. Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out
So
the
the
way.
brothers have a need, brothers need, and sistering won't. The brethren needs to be needed, and the sisters want to be wanted.
One more time.
The brothers have a need to be needed, and the sister have a want to be wanted. Pay attention when you hear sisters say, "Well, I want," "Well, I want," and brothers, "I need."
Ooh, yeah, you done warmed up now. Now we're ready to get now we're ready for takeoff. Flight 747. I say flight 747 is now taking flight, boy. We're ready to go now. Shout out to Harmonious Balance, because when you was talking about earlier about the trinary connection that makes a being androgynous, which is powerful. The very first thing that came to my mind, and shout out to Millie again for the clear audience and clear sentience and all the things we worked over with the clears today with psychic abilities. But in my mind, I saw Magi, Magi Nation. And then that immediately took me to Kemet with the Great Pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, and then how they all align with Alnitak, Alnilam, Mentaka, Orion's Belt. And we talk about the Magi, the Magi, those 3 wise Magi stars that's followed by that real big bright star that's real serious, and how the Asarian drama was stolen, the stolen legacy, the Lion King, all that. How does that all tie into this thing, or this Bible biblical Jesus thing? Because a lot of similarities all line with those Magi.
They stole it. They stole it. We all know that that's the resurrection of Asa. We all know that. But if you have never read the pyramid text, if you have never read the coffin text, if you never read the book of Coming Forth by Day, if you have no idea of this story, That you have no idea that there was never a JC, never existed? Where it come from? How can you serve something that is not of nature, that's not a force of nature? Every deity is a force of nature. Be it a Netta, a Neter, a Netalu, be it a Lawo, be it a Orisha, be it a Irumole, it is all a force of nature. So how can I serve something that's not a force of nature? What power does it have? Where was the birthing place? How? Okay, so they said that, Mary had immaculate conception. I mean, she birthed, because we all birthed it without the divine masculine. We birthed only the divine feminine. And when the sons of, how should I say, Anaki came and saw how beautiful the divine feminine was, they wanted us. They wanted our power. They saw what we could do, and they wanted that.
So they didn't have enough power already, being that they were,
Mm-mm.
demigods.
They didn't have wombs.
Ah. Hmm.
We had the temples,
Hmm.
and then we birthed our sons. And just like the mama cosmic moon, she would spit her son out at night in the dawning. I
Mm.
turn my light back on. She
That's
would
all
spit her
good.
son out in the dawning.
Mm. Mm. Yes, sir. So and that's real powerful. Real powerful, because that brings me back to somewhere I wanted to go earlier, but I had to kind of make sure that I stayed the course of where we, with our GPS and navigation system had, aligned for tonight's conversation. But I was thinking about when you talked about the stars and then like the moon and all that stuff, and then we spoke a lot about the womb. And I know like the planet Earth is, I don't know, I forgot the percentages, but a vast majority of the percentages of the planet Earth, I think, is like what, 70, 80, 90% water, something like that. When it comes to the
Mm-hmm.
makeup of the mass of the planet, right? But when we talk about this thing
Mm-hmm.
called the womb, and then we talk about chakras, there's several different entry points. There's several different, I feel like, sacred sites that are considered to be entranceways to this thing called inner earth, right? And then, I've heard of like Mount Shasta
That's
being
it.
one. There's certain different, volcanoes and different mountains. There's a lot of different places in the world that are sacred. The pyramids, underneath the pyramids, the Sphinx, and then all the pyramids around the globe. Was it in
Mm-hmm.
Mexico? Tahushin, I forgot. I'm having a tongue twist right now.
Tanzania.
Yeah,
Tanzania.
down there in Mexico,
Tanzania.
the big one.
Right, Tanzania.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Tanzania.
And one
The
of them's the
pyramids,
pyramid
yeah.
of the sun, one's the pyramid of the moon, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when
Yes.
it comes to the planet, where would you, because you are one of the mothers, where would you say or consider like would be one of the wombs, if not the womb of the planet? Would it be like the North Pole, South Pole? Would it be Mount Shasta? Would it be, what I'm saying, the Sphinx? Like, because there's a lot of different ways, being a student of Dr. Blair and Dr. York, where there's different entry points into, the inner earth, into the planet and things of that nature. What would we consider to be the womb of Mother Earth?
Okay, the womb of Mother Earth would be the portal of the mounds.
Mm,
In the indigenous culture, Chicago, New York, California, the Wyomings, Alabama, Montana, Wisconsin are all mounds and ley lines. So Mount Shasta ain't the only place. They're just the
mm,
one that they want to keep telling you about.
mm,
Go to those cities, Tennessee, anywhere the natives and the Gullah Geechee people lived are
mm,
mounds.
mm.
A mound is a burial site.
Uh-oh.
Why do you think golf courses and hospitals, their offices are all on mounds? Because they're getting that ashe from the ancestors.
Mm.
So a mound is a burial site. So not only is it Mount Shasta, your womb, the woman's. womb is a portal. Her vagina is a portal. What did Dr. Ben say? When you enter the portal of a vagina, you entering heaven.
Yeah.
That's that cosmic release.
Mm. Mm.
So I say that just because they say Mount Shasta, there's pyramids all over the planet. There's pyramids in Illinois. You just got to know
Cahokia.
where they are.
Cahokia Miles.
Yes. So our people were all over this planet. It
Yeah.
was ours first.
And you know, I forgot it when you said Dr. Ben, you triggered something in me because, and with the utmost respect, I got to mention this one. What about Mount Kilimanjaro? Because if I'm not mistaken, if I
Yes.
want to say, going back into some of the work of the ancestors, you know, that was considered to
Yes.
be, you know, the mountain of the of you know, the moon, and where I
Right.
believe life was supposed to have, you know what I'm saying, originated in that
Yes.
area. Was it the
Right.
Twa people, or like over there in that
Let's
area of
look at my
Mount Kilimanjaro?
yes.
Okay.
Let's look at Mount Rushmore. Why
Hmm.
would you put your faces
Hmm.
on that sacred mountain?
Mm.
Seriously. You know, you desecrate everything you touch because you know the sacredness of the land, you know the sacredness of the people, you know the sacredness, you know who we are. I'm like Desmond Tutu. When you came over here and you brought your Bible, you said, let us pray. We closed our eyes and we prayed and we ended up with the Bible and you ended up with the land.
I
So that was
say.
their purpose and that was their destiny to destroy a race of beings that are so powerful because we can leak through air. There's our melanin. The dark matter makes us so powerful. It's dark matter. How did they find out about dark matter? Because they practiced on the men that were in the army that would transition over the melanated men. And they said, oh, we found something in this pineal gland here. That's
Mm,
their ability.
mm,
But where's the pineal gland that's strong for in the women? In their breast, in their womb.
mm,
For a brother, his penis,
mm.
his prostate. So they want that. So I can't remember, it's been such a long time, but there's a code for melanin. And the last time I checked, the melanin was at 500 something um, an ounce. 500 some dollars for an ounce of melanin.
Mm. So now we about to really take it deep. Before we get up out of here tonight, we got look. Before we get up out of here tonight, we got to really go ahead and go deep because so to me, because there's a lot going on, you know, in the planet and in the world, a lot going on, and it's a lot that I feel like. Well, I don't feel like I know that we're being captivated, we're being inundated, we're being conditioned, you know, we're being pretty much pummeled with a lot of bullshit, excuse my French, but
Yes.
BS with the social media, these entertainment trials, you know, all this other stuff. I'm not even gonna give it any ashe by speaking on it or speaking, you know, the name of it, but I feel like that goes back to earlier when you were saying about, well, when I was asking the question of like why they're so fascinated with removing the wombs, or you know, the infiltrating the bodies of our womans or women with the procedure of the hysterectomy. So what you just saying, well, how much melanin is going for per ounce? To me, that sounds as if that might be a real true source of one of those things that make you go, about all the missing brothers and sisters and young people.
Mm-hmm.
So how
Yes.
somehow, some way, mysteriously just turning up missing around this
Yeah, well,
corporation that
I
we
need
call
your melanin. I need your body parts. We life itself. Uh, Oprah Winfrey shared the story of Henrietta Lacks, right? And how they took her parts and they still using it to this very day and gave her family nothing. They know who we are. They know what we are. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we are. Watch the movie Lucy, and she took this chemical, this prefabricated drug, and then it speeded her brain power up. She became all omniscient, uh, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniopulence, all knowing, all power, all seeing. That's who we are. So we walk around here talking about we powerful. Really? Are you all knowing? Are you all present? Are you everywhere? Are you all power? Because that's who the creator is. That's what the mothers are. All knowing, all power, all presence. So when you call that forth, when you can tap into that energy, then you can tell me you powerful. But until then, so Lucy becomes so powerful, her brain, she becomes the all knowing to guess what? She can no longer stay in this body. So guess what? She pops. But when she pops, guess what she pops into?
Total
Dark
blackness.
matter, the black hole.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Richard Thomas, Dr. Carol Barnes.
Dr. Richard King.
Right, Richard King, Carol Barnes. And that's Dr. Francis Quelshing. And there's his other sister, Dr. Ann. Is it Dr. Ann Brown?
There's a few of them. I know I got brother
Dr. Layla Africa.
Yeah.
Dr. Layla Africa.
Yeah.
Dr. Jewel Pookum.
Yeah.
Dr. Delbert Blair.
That's it.
So come on now. We have to understand what melanin is and what melanin can do. Melanin is like an addiction. That's why you think they created drugs. Melanin is easy, it's an addiction. Melanin likes certain things, and it's easy to become addicted. So they made these synthetic drugs, they automatically knew melanin is addictive. So melanin makes it's easy to get them because, we can just get them a distraction. So I'll say, we're going to do this. Because if you are distracted, that means you're not inside of yourself. You're outside. So if you stay outside of yourself, you never find yourself. It is in the darkness that you find yourself. So we tell us, don't be afraid of the dark. Why? Because you can't see in the dark, and that's how we get our strength. So I tell sister and brethren, you should be asleep before 12 o'clock, unless you're going to do something with the mothers, because that's the time that the melanin needs rest. That's the time for the body to rejuvenate, so it could be ready to be up at 3 o'clock in the dawning. That's why you think they created the third shift, so your melanin would be off track. Don't know what they doing.
You dropping mics, you dropping bombs, you dropping heat. Yeah. So I got a bunch of questions, but shout out to Emperor of Truth, because this is shout out to the tribe, because everybody dropping dope comments and dope questions. So I appreciate all the love and support, and everybody that's chopping up in the comments. But this was a good one. I wanted to ask this one, share this one, and I got a couple I wanted to share or ask, because you going in now, like that triggered something with me. I got a couple good ones. But what do you think about, what are your thoughts on the Grand Canyon and Antarctica?
Is it not native country? Who was there first? That's the only thing I gotta say. Who was there first? They wasn't. Who were birthed there?
That part.
That's the only thing I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Everything in this country where there was natives and indigenous people is sacred spiritual land. So I'm going to make a suggestion to everybody who wakes up and come out their door every morning. I'm finna go to my indigenous culture now. Get you some tobacco, because tobacco is sacred. And you take that tobacco, just a little pinch, and you hit the 4 directions. You start with the east. You give honor to the east. You give honor to the west. You give honor to the north. And you give honor to the south. And you give thanks. And you give something back to the land. You either give cornmeal, or you give corn, or you give tobacco. We have to give something back to this land. In the indigenous culture, before they took anything off the land, they prayed and they asked, could they take that? So
now I love that, because it's funny, because I can't share too much, but in our tradition, excuse me, in our culture, especially with the spiritual traditions, we have to ask, permission before we go to the forest to get certain herbs, or to get certain, ingredients or certain elements that we use for ritual, right? So when it comes to the repercussions of just taking things without asking, and let alone, and I'm just talking about us, but now let's just go as above, so below, as within, so without. So now when you look at this certain group of barbarians that have, raped and pillaged and massacred and stole and, thieved and robbed and, whatever word you want to call it, the entire globe, with the mothers, the primordial mothers, all I feel like waking up, awakening,
Mm-hmm.
rising and elevating and unifying and all these good things on top of the actual planet, Onile, Earth, Gaia,
Mm-hmm.
QI, Q1, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
awakening and raising up herself and the consciousness and, what I'm saying, like the
Mm-hmm.
temperatures, and it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
At what point does mama get tired of playing with not just the children, but the inhabitants, but more so the parasitical, barbaric energies that are on the planet, and then pretty much just start knocking everything over? Like
He
where does
already has.
oh,
You know how? They can't reproduce. They're giving up their greatest possession, right? The white woman. Oh, can I say that?
who gonna stop you?
Okay. They're giving up their greatest possession, the white woman. Excuse me. How many of our brethren are no longer on this plane of consciousness because of her? Now look, they're giving her up. She was the prize. They can't reproduce. They had stopped their reproduction. So they needed to reproduce. So guess what they decided to do? They decided to taint our blood, our bloodlines. They needed our bloodline. So guess what? They now in our bloodline. So they weeping what they sow. Their children are strung out on drugs. Their children are murdering and robbing. Have been doing it for years and centuries. They have incest. They are the greatest incestors of the planet. So yeah, they weeping. But they'll never tell you that they weeping. Because I have to keep that fear in you. I have to let you think that I'm powerful. So I have, in order for me to, what did Malcolm say? What did Dr. Deborah Blair say? How do you allow your oppressor to educate your children? That's Malcolm. Dr. Deborah Blair said, we don't train our children. You train animals. We educate our children. Elijah Muhammad, I would call him honorable, but he messed with young girls. So I can't call him honorable, but I will say this. He said, there's nothing on the mama's mind. That's because if there's nothing on the child's mind, because there was nothing on the mama's mind.
Mm,
Fannie Lou Hamer said, you could tell a race of beings by its sisterin.
mm, mm. I say, yeah.
So, how do you taint a bloodline? By allowing them to infiltrate. But now we played a part in this too. The Moors came and conquered. So, so a lot of things, but in that, we have to make sure that we don't repeat the same cycle. Because if we look at the Atlantis and Lemurian, that we are so powerful that we don't even need a phone. We could feel each other. We've always felt each other. We always know when something was getting ready to happen in our community. We always rallied together. Shoot, Big Mama, Nana, Mud Dear, Auntie so and so, Uncle so. We always knew, and we always stood. I say this: when you didn't have food to eat, and my mama's house was always open. It was 18 of us, 11 boys and 7 girls. Everybody would come. Anybody could come and eat at our house. You didn't have a place to stay. You might not have a bed, but you had a pallet on the floor. We were community, and they made sure that they stopped community. But we have to go back to the old ways, and that's the old ways. They worked. We have to stop skinning and grinning because in the ancient times, when our melanated ancestors would take pictures, there was never a smile. You felt their ashe. They felt like it was a mockery to grin and to skin. For what? So we have to become sovereign. Sovereign means I don't need you for nothing. I don't want your food stamps. I don't want your housing. I don't need any of that from you. That's how you broke the family apart.
Mm. Yeah, that's deep. That's real deep. And it didn't even really trigger something in me to think back about some of my own personal interactions with elders. Excuse me, especially when it comes to taking pictures. It's one of the things for me, I get why, they might not want it to take pictures, but then when you talk about the smile thing, that's deep. Like that's real deep. And honestly, I don't think I've ever heard anyone share with me why that is such a thing, when it comes to a certain generation of elders. And for me, it resonates because I know for a fact I've always grown up being around elders. I've always grown up being, I feel like a servant to the elders or someone who was
Mm-hmm.
just there to kind of, just be of whatever assistance that I could be because I just love being in the presence of the elders. And so for me, that reminds me of my childhood. I remember, my family would come up, from out of town, and we would have big family gatherings and big cookouts and family reunions and things of that nature. I was always the designated cameraman. And I loved doing it because that was another way that I could be in the presence of the elders, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but they a lot of times they never did smile, and I never thought about that. And now, and even looking back in hindsight and just looking at some of the old pictures that I have, that I kept, for keepsakes or some that I have online and digital, there wasn't a lot of smiles, and
Mm-hmm.
now that you said that, that really, really triggered something in me because if I think about it, hell, I don't know if I would really want to smile either, considering some of the BS that was going
Mm-hmm.
on, during those times, even in
Mm-hmm.
times when we were enjoying each other's fellowship and congregating amongst ourselves, it still was, I feel like the weight of the world and the weight of all the trauma and the stress and the drama and all the BS, it weighs on us to where we don't want to smile. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's deep.
Mm-hmm. So
That's
look
really,
how long our people, you know, we are fought to be in there, to be segregated. We fought to be integrated into everything that they've done. We fought for it. And what did we get from that? When do we stop trying to be like them? No offense, sister, and we are beautiful with our kinky, curly, nappy hair.
I
Do you
say.
know how important your kinky, curly, nappy hair is? It's a spiral. It is your connection to the solar system. It is your connection to Earth. When you get information through your hair, they are antennas. Mm, mm. We got to stop. They trying to be like us because we are the original. We are the original OGs. We are the originals. We are the keepers. We are the beers. We are the generators. We are the erectors. We the builders. We the sustainers. We the carriers. We carry the sacerdotal powers. We are the oracle and the oracle limb. We are the weavers. We are the beers. We are the doers. You got to see who you are. You got to know what you bring to the table. We all have a part to play in this, sister. And we all have a part to play. So if you see another sister and you say she don't like you, that's not true. She sees something in you that she don't see in yourself in herself. So I say, big her up, lift her up. See the sacred divinity within yourself and see the sacred divinity within you. Because we are sacred and we are divine. And wherever we go, sacred and divinity go. I'm not a God. I don't believe in God and the goddess. I believe in divineness. I believe in divinity. I don't serve anything when you flip it around, it's DOG. No, no, no. You got to pay attention to the words that they use. Pay attention because I don't set intentions, but I pay attention. The road is paved with good intention. Once again, who told you about intentions? I pay attention to all things. I watch all things. I listen to all things. And I go in and I go to my womb. What does this mean? How do I use this? I hear my brother, Orisha Stone, magnetism. We have to magnetize ourselves. We have to raise our frequency at least to the heart plane of consciousness so that we can draw. And then we got enough electricity, but now we need to magnetize ourselves. And when we magnetize ourselves, let's start buying. Everybody saying buying silver. Baby, gold is the way to go. We're golden. We're melanated liquid golden liquid. And if you never saw your golden body, I suggest you take yourself into meditation and ask to see your melanated liquid gold body. Now, I know a few magnetic stones, but I'm quite sure my brother Orisha Stone would know more. magnetite, lodestone. Hematite carries some. Rhodochrosite carries some. But I'm quite sure he could tell you more. So you get crystals, you get magnets. Dr. Delbert Blair, the Meta Center, you can get magnets through him. Uh, Hank Rising Sun, you can get magnets through him. But the more you magnetize, you draw. We magnets. So if there's something going on and you say, "Oh, well, why is it?" Check out your energy. Tantra. One of the things of Tantra is energy. We emit energy. What are you emitting? If you walking around mad, angry, sad, depressed, well, that's what you're gonna get, because that's what you're emitting. You have to pay attention to our energy. You have to pay attention to each other. Speak when we see one another. Greetings. Whether they speak back or not, keep it moving. It's okay. Shake the dust off. But until we can, the only way that we can arrive is, I am my sister's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. It's enough tea in China for us all to have some. It's enough tea for us all to have some. There's this song by Kendrick Soul. I want all my family. I want everybody. If I'm eating good, living good, doing good, I want everybody to eat good, living good, if that's what you want. Now, if you don't want that, I'm okay with that. This is what I say. Everything that I say, you can kick rocks with it, throw it against the door. I don't have an expectation of anything or anybody, not even of myself. Therefore, I'm no, I don't want to be let down. I don't put people on pedestals. We all, the mothers is no respect of persons. We all can do the same thing. It's how you choose to live your life. It's what you want. It's what you're willing to sacrifice. What are you willing to give up to get something?
I say. Oh, shout out to Queen Liquid Water. Said, "Yeah, I got bars." She sure do. Listen, she sure do. Yeah, like, hey, she got bars for days, bars and more bars. And shout out to Outkast and the Dungeon family, because what I heard you say is we need to do something. So they got a song called "You Need to Get Up, Get Out, and Get Something." Don't let the days of your life pass by. You need to get up, get out, and get something. But anyway, we're gonna get up, get out, and we done got something tonight. But we done got some real jewels and mic drops and some esoteric wisdom delivered, on a first level, a first class level, man. So I want to give thanks and gratitude to you, and then also before we get out of here, shout out to brother Nkosi, because he asked a question that I'm gonna bring it up because out of dear love and respect for him and the support that he does and has and the things that he does to contribute to the tribe. I told him that this is definitely something that we'll bring into the Patreon, because you and I actually spoke about that before we came on air. But I wanted to share it just because I feel like if you want to just drop anything that you're comfortable with
Okay.
dropping on here, and I know what you told me. We're gonna do this in Kosi, we're gonna do it in the Patreon for sure. But I just wanted to share it, out of my love and appreciation for your support, brother.
Can you go deeper into Osha, when it comes to males or the sons when you spoke earlier, the male? Okay.
When you speak
Connection.
about how
Okay.
some of the sons can have, some
The
of
male
the,
connect. All right.
yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So I shared earlier that there is a portion that belongs to the males, and it's called OSO. I'm not very good with the Yoruba uh, language, but they are the sons of the mothers. The lineage is passed down from mother to son or grandmother to son. So that means that you are connected to the divine mothers. That means that you carry the mother's ashe. Um, I want to say some brothers are very in tune with their femininity. That's all it is. You're in tune with your divine. You can see, because the mothers can see. You can feel. You're in tune with that divine feminine side of yourself. So that's what that means, that when anybody carries the Odu of the mothers, which is Osa, Meiji, and Otura, that means that they are a child of the mothers. That means that the mothers, are your, should I say, watch over you. But in that, the mothers watch over all her children, more so in the womb, but she takes care of her sons. She is no respecter of persons.
Mm.
But I will go further when we have our what you call, because I have a lot of things to share about the elders, and I will not,
Oh
will
yeah,
not.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah. Listen, and real quick too, man. Shout out to brother Orisha Stone. Shout out to I am SCG 13. Shout out to everybody who's been coming through and really like dropping jewels and just spreading the love. Shout out to Uncle Hank. Everybody that been coming through with the whole energy and the crystal movement that we've been having going on recently here in the tribe. But for those who are part of the tribe and the Patreon community, like y'all already know what it is. We got a lot more coming. But for those who aren't, I highly recommend hitting that Patreon, man, because there's a free tier there, so it don't get no realer than that. I feel like, as far, especially when you're getting it for free, you're getting access for free. But it's just, if you really want to tap in, we got to go there. We got to take it to the house. We can't have it out here, in the public domain, man, because certain things we can do, certain things we won't do, in regards to the elements in which we're doing things. But with that, we'll definitely be turning up in the Patreon next week, as well as on the channel. We got some dope shows lined up. But for that, in regards to, especially when it comes to the mothers, there's a very, very I feel like a level of respect and a level of reverence that needs to be taken extremely serious when it comes to us talking about and working with the mothers. And I really appreciate your willingness to share as much as you do, especially in the private community with the tribe, in regards to that, because I think there's not, from what I know, there's not a lot of information out there on the mothers, but as well as we're getting the direct. I feel like it's almost like from the spiritual community or spiritual family perspective, we're directly being fed from someone who's connected to the womb, to the umbilical cord, because you are them and they are you. So it's like, for us to be able to tap in and connect to that level of direct contact, I feel like it's almost like in the military, where they have the fighter planes are flying, and then they have the big 747, B-57, whatever it's called, the big plane that come up, and then it drops that little buoy that fuels the fighter plane in mid-flight. Like, that's what we having in the Patreon community, y'all. Like, for real. Like, yeah, she comes through. I know I ain't supposed to call you, but OjeYemi comes through and like, just in mid-flight of the call, she dropped the buoy, and then boom, it's like we connecting with the umbilical cord to the mothers, and it's powerful every single time. And shout out to Wunam too, because she does the same thing. But with that, when it comes to everything that we hit tonight, we didn't even get to hit everything, but I do want to at least hit, if we got time, a little bit about the Gungun, the significance of us connected with our ancestors, but also Egbe, because that's something that, for those who are on their journey in Isheshe, or on their journey or involved in Ifa or Orisha, lifestyle, what is the significance of us having a really strong connection with our Yagungun? And then also, after that, if you don't mind, maybe just dropping a little bit of the significance of our Egbes.
Okay, let's go with Egungun.
Okay.
We're going to talk about your grandmother, your great grandmother, and I want to say let's deal with your great grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
She was there. She made sure you had. She just loved. So if I know that my grandmother took care of me, made sure that I had, and just because she's no longer in a physical body, why would I forget about her? How can I forget about her? She's just not in a physical body. So if I still need her Ashe and I still need her love, why wouldn't I call her? So I ask people all the time. Now you know that you've had people in your family who have transitioned over, was always there for you, always provided, made sure that you have, and they're no longer in a physical body. So if they're no longer in a physical body, and you praying to something that you can't see, ain't did nothing for you. How does that make that make sense to me? So when an ancestor crosses over, do you know where the Ashe goes? It becomes yours. Every ancestor crosses over, Ashe goes directly to you. So you will continue that bloodline. We have been sold a bill of goods. We were told, don't worship them. They dead. Don't worship them. That's bad. Well, now, if I look at your fiat, if I look at your currency, who's on that? Your coins, your holidays. What are you worshiping? So I'm not worshiping mine, I'm worshiping yours. So it is the ancestors who will make smooth, easy, and successful your way. It is the ancestors who got our back. They paved the way. They can see what we can't see. They can go where we can't go. And they will tell you what you need to know. Only thing you got to do is call upon them. Pour water, spew gin, appease them, and give them food.
You know,
Yes.
though, in the hip hop culture, shout out to Tupac. You about to know that he had a song called "Pour Out a Little Liquor." You know, and
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of us, I didn't even know like back then that he was really talking about pouring libations. You know,
Yes. Even remember Cooley High?
yeah, yeah.
We didn't know anything about what libation was,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what it is. They live. We're a spirit. We came from the spirit realm, and to the spirit realm we shall return. So when something doesn't have a body, do you know how powerful that is? This dense third 3D body keeps us dense on this plane of consciousness. Well, it's time for us to drop this dense body, pick up the fourth body, which is spirit, so we can go to the fifth dimension, all knowing, all seeing, and all being. But the ancestors will pave the way. They will. The Ori is your first line of defense. The ancestors is your second line of defense. There's a saying that I'm going to give everybody. When the roll calls for blood, let nobody in my bloodline be available. When an ancestor leaves this plane of consciousness, they are so powerful that they can come back and pick up somebody else. So you have to watch that. You have to do work on that. When my mother made her transition, um, I actually helped her. She was wheezing, she couldn't breathe. I'm like, it's cold. When it's time for you to go, you can go. So what I did was I went to my grandfather and I went to my aunts and my uncles and I asked them to come and get her. That's how powerful they are. So when someone gets to make their transition, the ancestors will come and help assist them in making their transition. Now, you have you can do an ancestral altar or you can do an ancestral shrine. When you do a shrine, you have what's called the opaiku. The opaiku comes from the oroko tree and the
Go ahead and
um,
get him. Go ahead and get him. Yeah, go ahead and get him. Go ahead. And
mm,
get Listen, because you already look.
I know
What
I
when
done
you
stepped out here,
no,
right?
no, you don't, but go ahead and step out because look, you invoke something in me, man. So I
Okay.
gotta share
The,
this while you
the
while you
oroko
get.
tree comes from the mothers. That's the opaiku, the oroko tree. And it is wrapped an odd number and it's wrapped in red. And that's how we go through on our shrine, and that's how we go to it. We with the obi, orokbo, and that's how we talk to our ancestors. And Omni Tutu, is one way. And there's another prayer that I have that I'll share with Baba. So that's the power of the ancestors. That's our first line of defense. Look what they went through. They didn't care. You'd be surprised. They said that we took that. No, baby. Mm-mm. There was sister and they poisoned their food, sister and they did all kind of things. Brothers, no, no, no. We didn't take that. We didn't bow to them. But they knew the more that they would oppress us, the more they would take us from each other. So that's why it's so important that we come back together. That's why it's important that we understand what the bloodline has. That's why it's important. Say like your mother was a great cook, then you have that same capability, or someone in your bloodline. Someone could sing, someone could play an instrument, someone could dance. That's in your bloodline. So you sing and you praise and you raise your ancestral line up, but you pour the water, you spew the gin, you call the names, and you feed them. Every time you eat, they should eat before you eat. Every time you eat, they should eat. Now, there's certain foods that you can give them. It's called akara, which is a fried bean cake, moi moi, which is a white bean cake. That's what you give them. But you also give them the food that you eat. If they want whatever, cigarette, whatever you want, you take care of your ancestors. You take care of them, and they'll take care of you. I can guarantee you can take that to the bank, but you don't take care of them, they ain't gonna take care of you, and you have to invite them in. You cannot, spirit cannot. There's law. Spirit cannot cross unless you have to invite and invoke them in. The only one that can cross that line is OjeYemi Sharanga. They don't need an invitation.
I say. Oh.
So now we're going to talk about egg bag. Before, when we come down to this plane of consciousness, we have a heavenly mate. There's different groups of egg bag. There's 16, and I'll send this 16 names to Baba because there's no way I can pronounce them. There's many groups of egg bag, but there are 16 main groups of egg bag. And each egg bag has a certain character. So when you're up in heaven, before you come over, before you come down with your heavenly mate. And when you come down with your heavenly mate, one of you decides to stay and one of you decides to go back. So after the third day, maybe the sixth or the seventh day, the heavenly mate goes back up. That's why it's important in the Yoruba pantheon for you to have a esentaye before the seventh day, because your heavenly mate is still here. So your heavenly mate will assist in the divination. Once the heavenly mate goes back up, there's a pact that you made with this heavenly mate that you have to honor. Sometimes the heavenly mate could be your husband, it could be your wife. When a sister and sometimes are having trouble and brothers are having trouble in relationships, check your egg bay, because your egg bay in heaven might be blocking you. Also, the egg bay are so powerful, they too can create death. They can come back and get children. I know children had to have their egg bag appeased, or had to get initiated into egg bag because their egg bag was attacking them. Egg bag are like children. And one of the things in the egg bag thing is ease and undiluted is the snail's lot in life. Let my body not be racked by pain. Uh, we are not comprised of thieves. We're like children. Come along with us and have children to cuddle. Everybody likes their food is candy, sweets, cane sugar cane, baby bananas. That's also this banana. You can get it at the Mexican market. But yeah, and there you can be initiated. And I tell people, it's important to have ori. It's important to have egungun. It's important to have egbe. No deity can bless a man without the consent of one's ori. Ori, I hail you. Ori who allows children to be born. A person's sacrifice who is accepted by his own ori shall rejoice exceeding. Ori woo, ori woo, ori woo.
I say. Oh. Yeah, listen. This is powerful. Like this is very powerful. Yeah, the tribe they're going crazy. Like this information, because we spoke about this I think a couple times throughout the week, but there's a lot of the people who are in this tradition, who have been in the tradition too, there's not a lot of information about, you know, the egg bay or the mothers out there, you know. So it's like this is one of the things that I feel like, excuse me, it goes back to like all the things that are still sacred about Isheshe, which is like a lot of the deep, 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 you know, powerful understanding, overstanding, understanding, understanding, and wisdom. No matter what, it has to be passed down from mouth to ear. And if
Mm-hmm.
you are not, you know, in a position where you have access to elders such as yourself, you know, where you can learn this and you can be taught this, or you can be fed this, you know, you could be nurtured with this or cultivated with this, it's going to really be a challenging journey, you know, without having access to that direct line of, you know, direct wisdom, you know, of this culture, or just I should say spirituality as a whole. It don't even matter if
Yes,
you're in Ishe or not, because
that's
this is
right.
Kemetic culture, this is, you know, Akan culture,
Mm-hmm.
this is, you know, wherever you want to go with it. The indigenous of, you know, Turtle Island culture,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever you want to call it, or wherever you want to go with it, you still have to have access to the elders. And the
And
elders
you
are
know
gonna
why I think that the culture isn't shared? Well, it's an oral tradition. I think that's fabulous. You know,
mhm,
European writes in books, but they ain't gonna give you everything they write in the book because they know we didn't need books. We were oral.
mhm.
But people have made it a business. And I'm gonna leave it right there. It has become a business. So when you make something a business, what are you doing? You're taking the sacredness and you're making it every day.
Mm,
No one should solicit anybody. We're not
mm.
should you shouldn't be soliciting. That's a no. That's a part of the 16 ethics. You should not solicit. So if someone is soliciting you for something, don't do it. We cannot solicit in the Ifa. No, we cannot solicit. Baba Lao, nobody can solicit anything. And
I love
people
it.
say, well, I paid all this money. Well, you know what? You got to share something with sometime with somebody.
Yes,
Because if you truly, truly have a passion and you really love what you do, sharing is caring.
I should.
I share because I have children. I share because I never know where I'm going to be or who I'm going to need or who my children are going to need. And
I
when you
should.
have enough, when you, there's this song by, she's a gospel singer. Her name is Tasha Cobbs. Fill me up till I overflow. I want to run over. And this one sister told me, well, I don't overshare. I said, well, I overshare because I always have more than enough. So I want to run over. I want to overflow because then I don't have to be stingy. And you can choose what part of it you want to.
I should. Yeah, that's powerful. That's very powerful because, you know, I feel like in this day and time, and I feel like there's definitely a lot of different angles, a lot of different, you know, energies and entities, and, you know, a lot of forces are at play. But that's one of the things that used to be. I'm not gonna give it any truth to power because I'm gonna say used to past tense, but that used to be something that, you know, we struggle with in our culture, with, you know, sharing or being
Mm-hmm.
willing to barter or being willing to give, you know. And it's like for me, it's always been a total opposite because I feel like the more that I give, the more that I pour in, the more that I, you know, saying share and cast out, the more I'm getting back, you know, on a positive
Mm-hmm.
light. Now, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's the hate, the negativity, the animosity, the jealousy, all the bullshit. Excuse my friends, but there is that, you know.
Of
But shout out
course.
to my yeah. She said that the children of success is jealousy and envy, and that's real. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what you're
Well,
doing, you winning
right.
in any
Because guess
level.
what? They see something in you that they don't see in themselves. And so instead of coming to ask you, well, oh, Mr. Baby, how did you get this? Why can't you
Facts.
just come and ask? Can you help me? Can you show me? You don't have to tell me all the secrets, but can you guide me? Can you help me get my initial? And then take it from there. Everybody needs somebody. You know,
Mm,
I heard this brother, Dr. Yaki, he said that he, in his healing journey, he said that he met a basketball player, and the basketball player gave him his first lift up. And from there, it went from there. You got to be able to lift somebody, do something for somebody out of love, out of caring. So I don't care. I don't have enemies. I don't care what you think about me. I don't care what you feel about me. I don't care what you say. I'm going to give you, I'm going to assist you. I ain't got to like you. I worked in corporate America for 40 years and I watched them. They might not like each other, but you better not talk about them. And when it come time to get it, they're going to go to that same person if they don't like, because they're going to build amongst themselves.
facts. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, no, that's oof, yeah, that's powerful. Shout out to the tribe, man. It's hard for me to keep up with everybody, but I definitely appreciate all the comments, man. I really do. And before we before we get out of here, when it comes to, and I love where you went with the egg bait, because that's something, like I said, we haven't talked a lot about it on this channel, but I just don't really see a lot about egg bait in the culture in general, out there for mass consumption, at least anyways. But let's just say, for those who are brand new to this tradition, brand new to this culture, brand new to, let's just even say, this thing called consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where would you say would be a great place to start, to go from somebody who's brand new, like a brand new baby, and then to go to somebody who, or I should say, be able to kind of graduate through the steps or stages, elevating through grades, to being able to access the Ori, being able to communicate with the ancestors, being able to tap into maybe connecting with their egg bay, and we'll have to probably do it on another call then before we get into Orisha and Ifa. But the core
Okay.
elements are Ori, Igungun, and you know self, really, but then
Egg
egg bay, yeah. So can you kind of
hmm
share that for
Well,
those?
let's okay. Let's talk about Egungun.
Okay.
Egungun are no respecter persons. The average person are already in tune with their Egungun before they even come to anything.
Mm.
We've always been able to see, to read. Now they call it clairaudient and clairsentient. Please, we got to stop with their stuff. We've always been able to see. We've always been able to hear spirit. We've always been able to smell and taste. Some people can smell it, spirit. Some people can taste spirit. We've always been able to feel, to hear, and to see spirit. We've always been able to do that. But now we're going to give it a proper name: medium, psychic, clairaudient, clairsentient, and clair something else. That has always been a part of our bloodline. And if you go back to the ancestors, you'll hear old conversations. Go back to when you, if you can go back to your childhood, watch the child. When the child is smiling, that's the egg bay. Or when the child is smiling, that's the spirit realm. Or your children will come and tell you their imaginary friend. Or I saw grandma. Or I saw some. And it's a part of our culture. They just never wanted us to realize it. So that's why they made the European be the psychics and the mediums and all that. And then white folks sitting up at that table, what's the name of them people having I can't think the
The
book
Last
that they
Supper.
said. Yes.
Yeah.
And then not only that, these white people were sitting at the round table conjuring up and bleeding folks dry when touching spirit. We've always been a connection to the spirit realm. But now I tell people, okay, Ifa might not be your way. Akan might be your way. Budan might be your way. Hoodoo might be your way. Whatever way, you have to find out, where should I go first? But you start with self. And self says, okay, I'm going to sit in my Arit, which are your chakras. I'm going to start there first. I'm going to start meditating and I'm going to start praying. And then I'm going to ask my ancestors where I should be. And then once, if you don't get a clear answer, then come and say, you know what? Ask somebody you know. Can you help me get a divination? Can you help me get a reading? Or get your astrology chart done, or get a numerology chart done. Now, when I say astrology, I really don't work with a Western astrology. I believe in the Ayurvedic, the Vedas. They deal with the 13 planets and deal with the 13 calendars. Something is off with that. That we never had a 7-day work week. We never had a 5-day. It was always a 4-day work week. So, Western astrology is really not true. But what can I say? I won't say that because, astrology people, they need their money. But that's where I would start first. I would start with meditation. I would start with praying. And I would see what comes. Because the ancestors are always there. Always. And then once I found out in what direction I should go in, and if it's Ifa, then I get my Ile. But you can start praying to your Ori without even having an Ile. You can pray to your ancestors without even having an ancestral shrine. You can pray. You can deal with your egg bay by just putting candy in your house, throwing candy on the crossroad. Get some black-eyed peas and corn, they love it, and throw it in your backyard.
That's deep. Listen, I don't want to interrupt, but when you said that, I'm sure I'm not the only person. A lot of people, I bet you right now on the call can resonate with this. So, does that have anything to do with why? Like, I remember my grandma just always talk about cooking like black eyed peas on New Year's, like and cleaning up
Mm-hmm.
and all that. Like, what's the correlation? Because that you struck something right there with that one.
The only thing I can tell you is Egg Bay likes black-eyed peas and corn.
I say,
And
hmm,
throw it in your backyard and tell them what you want. I feel like Ori, Egungun, especially Ori, Egungun, and ancestors should live inside of you. That's that womb thing again. The ancestors come from the womb. Ori is your womb. Egg Bay should be inside of you. We get the icons and we get the pots, but are they inside of you? Is Ifa in your belly? Is Ori in your belly? Is your ego, how do do you feel them coming from your womb? Because they do come out. Egg bait. Everything you need is inside. The icon of the pot, you make that ashe come alive by word sounding. I'm going to share this. The words have power. A part of the mothers is when they look without blinking their eyes. That's one of the words of the weapon. The mouth is the weapon. Looking without blinking is a weapon. And they shoot arrows is another one of their weapons.
hmm. Shout out to OjeYemi. He came up at one of the days of one of the milestones and rituals that took place with some of the tribe this week. Man, OjeYemi was a hot topic during one of the Elay meetings this week, man, because the movie Immortals that came out
Mm-hmm.
actually came out on 11/11/2020, no, 11/11/2011. But very powerful movie, and it's
Right.
amazing to see all of the metaphorical, allegorical connections to the Orisha and
Mm-hmm.
OjeYemi to me being the star, the
Right.
indirect star of the movie. Because Theseus, who was the star, was his whole life was almost like that book, The Alchemy or The Alchemist,
Mm-hmm.
Alchemy, where he was chasing his destiny, his journey.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his Ori, you know what I'm saying? And he was
Mm-hmm.
connected to the guys, which would be Egbe and or Rumale or Rishai, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But his weapon, his secret weapon, was the bow.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who know Oshosi, when he pick up that bow, he don't miss. You
Yeah.
know.
Also, I do have a book about Egg Bay, and I think I have a printed. I have a I got. I think I have a book on in my email. I just gotta find it, so I'll send you the book about Egg Bay. And he was a Babalao, and he wrote about Egg Bay. He was the first Babalao that put the old dudes in a book form, and it's hard to find it. Even when I went to Nigeria, I couldn't find it. But he wrote about Egg Bay, and I'm thankful and grateful he did because and there's also I have some things, the lectures about Egg Bay. I'm gonna send it to you, but I'm just gonna ask for you not to really share with anybody because this is this Baba's work,
Not sure.
So, but it's for my people, so.
Not sure. Nah, I mean, you already know, like whatever you give me the green light, to present to the tribe, it's gonna be in tribe. Y'all know it's gonna be in the Patreon, but whatever you give me the green light, that's shareable or presentable, I
Right.
present, and whatever you say, nah,
Okay.
is what it is. Like, but and I know, because there's certain things that we can't share, even if we wanted to, it's sacred for a
Right.
reason. But yeah, that's whew. Yeah, you went in tonight, and I appreciate it. I already knew you was going to, and the tribe, they're loving it. They like
Well,
somebody
I was
said,
kind of nervous because I talked to Alicia Shaw, and I'm like, I'm a little nervous. He's like, why? I'm like, well, I need to talk about the mothers, but I have to make sure that I be respectful for them, and I can't really share. So I was like, you know what? There's this brother. His name is Sat Yamdit Yama. He said, I just let the mothers do what the mothers do. So I
mm,
just let the mothers do what the mothers do tonight, and that's what
"Yes,
I
sir."
did.
Ah, shit.
And to me, this is what I say: you have my utmost respect, you have my utmost allegiance, and you have my loyalty because you are a son of the mothers. I only bow to those who of the mothers. If you ain't sacred and divine, you ain't mine. If you don't deal with the mothers, I don't deal with you.
That part. Well, look, I give the utmost thanks and gratitude, and anybody who's ever tuned into this show, for any amount of time, pretty sure it didn't take them long to realize that this is definitely a house that the mothers built. And if you don't believe me, you can go back to the very first show that was uploaded on April, I want to say 13th of 2024. And that started with my my spiritual mother. So I knew I wasn't starting this thing without coming in with the mothers. And just like when I got to go to the mothers, I'm rocking the picture and the photo of my G lady when I go to talk to the mothers, because I already know what it is. It's shout out to was it James Brown said this is a man's world. This is a man's world. The man's world, but the mothers created this mother lover. So with so it can't be a man's world if you ain't.
Well, that's another distraction.
Hey,
for us to think that.
But when we hit that earlier, when you said the creations of androgynous beings, like you can't argue that. And even the movie Lucy, like they got the name from the remains that they found, which was a elder melanated woman. So yeah, anybody who tries to argue anything different is uncivilized.
Well, until you know, as my mother says, until you do better until you know better, and you know better, then you do better. Some of us.
I say.
But some of us are hard head. Need a softer hand.
Yeah,
but everybody didn't come to be in dark and in this incarnation. Everybody didn't come to get it.
I say.
But I just think that when you make sure before, I can only tell everybody before you do anything, before you go to any Babalawo, make sure you find someone before it can take you to a reputable one. Don't go on your own. Don't go on your own.
I say. That's real. And shout out to it's been several different new channel listeners, subscribers, and tribe members, man, that's taking their first step into the journey. And one of the things that I share, even when I'm on the mat, in divination and consultation, is like, yo, you take what feels right for you, like take what resonates with you, even from me. You know what I mean? Because if it don't feel right, it don't sit right, then by all means, I will assist if you want, but if not, at least find something that does. Because for me, this ain't about money. This ain't about cash grabs. It ain't about none of that. It's about healing, serving, protecting, empowering, educating, and uplifting my family, my community, my culture, and the entire globe. So that's what my mission is. I can't speak on nobody else's, but I damn sure don't try to force nobody to do anything. Even if it come up where prescriptions are there, I'm like, yo, if you want to go there, let me know. I'm here to do it whenever you're ready to do it. But you won't hear back from me again. Even somebody who I personally have done the work for, with the message, like, I'm not reaching back out. Hey, did you want to do this? That? Nah, you're grown. You know what I'm saying? If you came to this point, I share with you before we get into it what can come about, and that's part of it is the prescriptions. But at the same time, I'm not going to try to chase you down to do it. It's on you. But at the end of the day, everybody ain't moving like that. So definitely take heed to what OjeYemi said in regards to finding somebody reputable. And if you don't have somebody who you feel like is reputable, at least ask somebody who might have somebody who's reputable, because everybody ain't on Iwapele. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Well,
it calls for trauma bond. Something you can't get out of.
Man, listen, there's a lot going on. I done heard some stories like that's unbelievable, but I know they're true. But before we get out of here, and I want to give thanks first and foremost again for you, taking the time to come, join us and sharing all the wisdom, the understanding, understanding, especially in regards to the mothers, but also just for what you do in the Patreon community, what you have been doing. And like I said, I wish I'd have known a long time ago that you was willing to do this, because I'd have asked a long time ago, but it wasn't meant to be until now. So I give thanks to, for you coming through and doing what you do and what you've been doing for us, as a tribe for a while now. I give thanks. And if it's anything that you want to, share with the people and share with the tribe on the way out before we get out of here, the floor is all yours, and then I look forward to doing it again in the very near future.
Love yourself.
I sure.
Value yourself and your worth. No one is greater than you. No one is greater than you. So often we look at what another person can do. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. We all have a purpose and destiny, and we all have a part to play in this great, divine, sacred, golden age. If you do what you come to do, and you assist and you share, watch and see. Pay attention. Love yourself. Know your worth, know your value, know what you bring to the table. Help somebody. You know, Mahalia Jackson said, if I just help one soul, then my living has not been in vain. That's all you can do. And on that note, I say Ashe, Amen Ra, Mayat, To, To, To.
Ashe. Oh, listen, I'm not even going to try to go no further. Tribe, I thought I was going to be able to do the private call tomorrow, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But I definitely plan on getting some content in the Patreon. Like I said, it's been a heavy week, you know, ceremonial wise. We had a lot going on with, you know, the tribe offline, but I definitely look to get things crapping back online next week. But we will be back tomorrow night with I am SEG 13 for the next installment of the spiritual sexual healing, man. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow night. We'll be live, I think, at 10 or 10:15 Eastern tomorrow night to drop that one. And I'll definitely be you know, tapping into the Patreon as well to drop some information and actually the call from last week that we did, what you took over and ran. I appreciate for doing what you did tonight. So I got to share that with the tribe and the Patreon community. But I can't thank you enough, you know, for what you've done for us in the private Patreon as well as here on the channel, and what you've done for myself since we've been connected, man. I give true great gratitude and thanks for, you know, allowing me to sit, you know, at your feet and for you to serve not only myself, but to serve the whole entire tribe, whether it's private or on the channel. So I give thanks and gratitude to you.
Yeah. Thanks and gratitude to the mothers. And thanks and gratitude for you giving me this opportunity. You know, we work hand in hand.
Ashe. Yes, ma'am. And listen, I'm here all day, every day, ready to serve and continue to keep it going. So with that, family, I give thanks. Shout out to Yvette Pierre. That's a new name. Maybe a new tribe member and subscriber. I give thanks and gratitude to you. And yeah, so family, we'll see y'all tomorrow night. Tomorrow night at 10:15, I believe. We'll be going live again. And we definitely got a lot more in store for next week. So with that, I give thanks and gratitude to OjeYemi for coming through and sharing the wisdom of the mothers in the primordial womb. And tribe, I give thanks to all of y'all for, you know, turning up in the comments as usual, as always. And shout out to the new channel members who subscribed tonight, as well as the new Patreon members and channel subscribers. I give thanks and gratitude. Family, we out. Peace. See y'all next episode. Odabo.
Ashe, hold it. See you tomorrow night. Oda.
Odabo.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàpọ̀ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn bó bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe nígbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your